Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game schedule for Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Freddie Peralta and Mitch Keller are your starters. Freddie Peralta in great form, had an August where he went 2.1 ERA in 30 innings of work, 46 strikeouts, and the Brewers were 5-0 in those games. But Mitch Keller's also been tough at PNC Park this season, pitching well there. The Brewers' offense hasn't been great in the last 30 days against right-handed pitching. You can see a low-scoring affair. I think both of these starting pitchers can give quality starts, and we get under this total at PNC Park. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Joe Ryan and Gavin Williams are your starters. Gavin Williams' last start was only an inning. He left the game early due to an injury concern, but looks like he'll be ready to go for this matchup. And he's been pitching well this season, a 3.46 ERA, 68 strikeouts in 65 innings. He's a strikeout-dependent starter that's facing a Twins lineup. It's the fourth highest strikeout rate in baseball against righties in the last 30 days. So I think he pitches well. Joe Ryan's not fared too well on the road this year with an ERA at 4.68 in 65 and a third innings of work, 16 home runs given up on the road. He's a strikeout-dependent starter, in my opinion, as well. And he's facing a team in Cleveland that has one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball against righties this season. Give me the Cleveland Guardians on the money line. Next up, the San Francisco Giants taking on the Chicago Cubs. Tristan Beck and Jordan Wicks are your starters. First two starts of the season for Wicks at the major league level. 2 wins for the Cubs, 10 innings combined, giving up only 2 runs with 12 strikeouts to go with it. I think he wins another game here for Chicago as he has his best matchup yet against the Giants team in the last month. The highest strikeout rate against lefties, above 30%. Team OPS 21st in baseball, and isolated power 22nd in the last month. We saw him struggle mightily to Justin Steele in the first game of this series. And, Tristan Beck, more of a bullpen game here for San Francisco. I think the Cubs do more than enough offensively to win this game and potentially cover the run line as well. So give me Chicago at Wrigley Field. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Oakland Athletics. A pair of southpaws on the mound in this one. Hyun-Jin Ryu and J.P. Sears are your starters. Ryu's pitched well for Toronto. His last 5 starts, all 5 wins for the Blue Jays, all 5 run-line coverage. They've been winning a lot of blowout games with Ryu on the bump. He's given up 2 earned runs or fewer in each of his last 5 starts. Decent strikeout numbers, not blowing away with the missed bats, but his control's been good. He faces an Oakland A's team that's not really doing well against lefties in the last month. J.P. Sears has not pitched too well at home this season, an ERA just below 5. He pitched well in his last game against the Los Angeles Angels, but we know this Angels team not playing very inspiring baseball lately. I think the Blue Jays, a much tougher lineup, especially against lefties, will be able to get to Sears and this Oakland A's bullpen. Give me the Blue Jays on the run line on the road. Next up, the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Chris Flexen and Zach Davies are your starters. I know the Rockies are on the road where their offense has not done too well this year, but I still like the over in this game, so I don't trust either of these starting pitching options. Zach Davies has been better as of late, but we still know he has an ERA above 6 on the season, has not pitched well at Chase Field. Chris Flexen also an ERA above 6, almost at 7 this season. His last game giving up 3 home runs against the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't trust either of these bullpens. The Rockies bullpen in the last month, an ERA above 7 with the worst Sierra in the league. The Diamondbacks bullpen not too much better. An ERA above 5 at 5.45 and not great expected numbers to go with it. Give me the over here in Colorado, Arizona. In our next game, we go to Petco Park as the Phillies take on the Padres. Zach Wheeler and Michael Wacha are the starters. I think Zach Wheeler remains one of the best starting pitchers in the National League, but he just hasn't been very profitable in terms of, a betting perspective. In his last 8 starts, the Phillies going 3-5 in those games, including a loss his last start against Milwaukee. It was a quality start on paper, 6 innings, 3 runs, 1 home run, but it was still a loss in the end for the Phillies. And Michael Wacha has been one of the best starters in the National League as well this year. 11-2 record, 2.85 ERA, another quality start for him his last game in a 7-3 Padres win over San Francisco. Wacha's been tough to beat, and if you're going to give me plus money at home with Wacha, I got to take it. Give me the San Diego Padres on the money line. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. No official starter for Boston right now, but I am seeing James Paxton listed on ESPN. Tyler Glasnow should be going for Tampa Bay. if Paxton's a starter, even if he's not pitching. I like the Rays in this game on the run line. Paxton struggled as of late. Now his ERA at 4.5 on the season. His last game against the Royals, 6 earned runs given up in a 13-2 Royals win. He's given up 4 or more runs in each of his last 3 games. The Red Sox bullpen's also not been great in the last 30 days with an ERA just below 6. Tyler Glasnow has been better at Tropicana Field. He's in good form. He's got good strikeout numbers. The Red Sox are a tough matchup against righties, but I think Glasnow is the far better option on the bump. So give me Tampa Bay here on the run line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Miami Marlins. No official starter for Miami, which should see Lance Lynn going for the Dodgers. Lance Lynn not in great form. He had tough matchups against the Red Sox and Braves in his last 2 games, giving up 10 earned runs and 17 base hits across 10 1/3 innings of work. But still, 5 home runs given up in those 2 games. Now you're going on the road against Miami, a team that's actually been decent against right-handed pitching as of late, where they're top 15 in team OPS and ISO against righties in the last 30 days. Miami, no official starter here. Could be a bullpen game. Dodgers, very tough lineup, so I do expect them to put up a fight offensively. Give me the over here in Dodgers-Marlins. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Logan Gilbert and Lyon Richardson are your starters. It was a pretty disastrous first start in the major leagues for Lyon Richardson, where he gave up those 4 runs right away. But his last 2 starts have been decent, and there were 2 wins for the Reds against the Angels and Cubs. It's just tough to go against this Mariners team with how well they've done against righties in the last month offensively. And Logan Gilbert pitching a lot better on the road this year with an 8-1 record and a 3.31 ERA in 89 2/3 innings. I'm going to lean towards Seattle here on the money line at Great American Ballpark. In our next game, it's the New York Mets taking on the Washington Nationals. No official starter for New York. We should see Yohan Adon going for Washington. And Adon has really struggled at Nationals Park this season. An ERA above 9 in a small sample size, but still, his last game at Nationals Park against the Marlins, 5 earned runs, 9 base hits in only 5 innings of work. That was a 6-1 Marlins win. I expect the Mets to grab the W in this game as well. New York, decent numbers against righties in the last month, and overall this season they've hit righties a lot better than lefties. So I'll lean towards New York here on the money line. In our next game, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the New York Yankees. Matt Manning and Clark Schmidt are your starters. I like what I'm seeing from Matt Manning to an extent. I think on paper, 3.62 ERA. He's been solid at Comerica Park. He's actually been better on the road, but the expected numbers aren't great because he's not really missing a lot of bats. Yet again, a game where he had less than a strikeout per inning his last start against these New York Yankees, 6 innings of work, a shutout baseball. Like I said, he's in good form. He's only given up 1 run in his last 4 games, but the expected ERA and the xFIP are both above 5 right now, so a lot of regression concerns for Manning. Facing the same lineup twice, probably not a best spot to be in. I think Schmidt is the better option. I like the ability to miss some bats. He also faced these Tigers his last game. He wasn't great now, but that was on the road at Comerica Park. Schmidt's actually been better at Yankee Stadium this season with a 3.91 ERA and 71 1/3 innings of work. I'm going to take the Yankees in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Braves. Dakota Hudson and Spencer Strider are your starters. Obviously, the Braves are huge favorites in this game, so even laying the run line, -1.5 runs, you're still laying negative odds. A game I'll be staying away from, not a lot of value here, but if I had to lean, I would, of course, lean with the Braves laying the 1.5 runs, as Hudson's got an ERA at 4.02, but an expected ERA of 5.1, a FIP at 5.05, and a Sierra that's also steep at 5.08 as well. So regression concerns, facing one of the toughest lineups in baseball. This is going to be one of the toughest matchups he's had all year. Spencer Strider on the other side, pitching well for the Braves. His last game against the Dodgers wasn't great, but it was good enough for a Braves victory. He had 9 strikeouts and 6 innings of work. I'm going to take the Braves here and lay those 1.5 runs, maybe lay 2.5 runs to get a better price. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. Touki Toussaint and Jordan Lyles are your starters. Give me the Royals in this game at Kauffman Stadium. Jordan Lyles coming off one of his best starts of the season, 8 innings of work, 2 runs and 7 strikeouts against the Red Sox in a 13-2 win. Pretty tough Red Sox lineup, but Lyles was really sharp in that game. Now he's facing a White Sox team that's been miserable offensively. They may be without Luis Robert, who's still day-to-day with an injury. Touki Toussaint hasn't been good enough as of late, though. The White Sox are 2-3 in his last 5 starts. The last start against the Tigers gave up 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings in a 4-2 Detroit win. Royals hitting righties well. Gave me the Kansas City Royals on the money line. Next up, we go to Texas as the Astros take on the Rangers. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. Great pitching matchup in this one. Justin Verlander really struggled his last game against the Yankees. He gave up a lot of runs early in that one. 6 runs in 6 innings was his final line with 4 home runs given up. He was pitching pretty well before that, but on the road here against the Rangers, don't really trust him. Scherzer's in great form. I know this Rangers bullpen has not helped him out, or many of the Rangers starters in general, but I think it'll be good enough here. I think the offense backs him up early in this start. I like the Rangers to win this game at Globe Life Field. Should be a great game. Like I said, one of the best pitching matchups we're going to see all year, but I'm going to lean towards the Rangers on the money line. And the final game for Wednesday's card in Major League Baseball, Kyle Gibson and Patrick Sandoval are your starters for this Orioles-Angels battle. Now, Kyle Gibson had a surprisingly bad start in his last one against the White Sox. It was a good matchup on paper, and the Orioles gave him an early lead against Dylan Cease. He scored a few runs, but Gibson was not good enough. He gave up 7 runs and 3 home runs in that 10-5 White Sox win. I do think he bounces back a bit. I think the Angels could get to him for a few runs, but Gibson's been slightly better on the road this season. I also think the Orioles get to Patrick Sandoval, who also struggled his last game against the A's, giving up 5 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Now, when you look at the bullpens, I think that's where the Orioles have the biggest advantage in this game, and where they have the biggest advantage in this series is, the Orioles bullpen in the last month, a 3.02 ERA, good expected numbers. The Angels, the 4th highest SIERA, and an ERA just below 7 in the bullpen. So give me the Baltimore Orioles on the money line on the road to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.